we're here with Grammy-nominated music producer Max Perry, all the way in California, San Francisco, California.
Yes, sir. What's up, my bro? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. It's been a while since we last talked. I know we've been trying to get this done for a minute now.
Yeah, man, I appreciate your patience, bro.
No problem. How are you doing? And what's the present life been for you during this COVID-19 pandemic? Hopefully it hasn't been too bad and too stressful for you.
Nah, it hasn't, honestly, man. I hate to sound like callous while like a lot of the world is suffering through major tragedy. My life was somewhat already similar to this before COVID. I worked from home, obviously different studios also that just converted to just working at home. And, you know, I've just tried to remain focused on my goals, and which are many of them are work oriented. So, I just been keeping my my head down and just been working nonstop, whether it be beats or engineering or publishing administration. Yeah, man, it's you just gotta turn this thing into as much of a blessing as possible. Luckily, I haven't gotten sick. No one in my immediate family has gotten sick. I know a couple friends that got sick, but luckily their symptoms weren't bad. Luckily no deaths in my immediate circle. So I'll just keep our fingers crossed and hope everyone remains safe and just, stick it out until we can make it through the other side.
I've known about you for quite some time. You've definitely been in the industry for years, producing for other artists, producing not only as just a producer, but also as an artist as well. Let's talk about your latest single, which was produced back in November, Night Shifts with Jane Hancock. Let's talk about that. And let's talk about the success about that song, Night Shifts.
Yeah, bro, appreciate that. Night Shifts was the fourth single from my EP, my debut production EP, Million Mile Journey. Night Shifts was definitely one of my favorite records on the project. It's at like 50K on Spotify or something like that. Definitely got some cool reception. People, definitely some good feedback on the record. Continuing to drop music, to drop singles. The project will be out probably in the next couple months.
And what should we be expecting from the Miracle Mile Journey?
The way that just like music promotion and just music releases go, like we're in a single based world. It's way better for an artist's numbers. Like if they had so for instance, the Million Mile Journey has 7 songs on it. I released 4 of them already. And by releasing all of them as singles and by giving each one like a month or two to have some burn, it's impacting the numbers in a bigger way than if I would have just dropped the whole project. And it's just going to get lost in the sauce, because at the end of the day, people's attention span, like you could have a song featuring Jesus, Tupac, and Elvis, and people will be sick of it in a week. This is like boxing. So like you're not just going to Mike Tyson someone and knock them out in one punch. You got to jab them to death. And then, eventually working a hook and working a uppercut and maybe you get the knockout. But it's like you got to think about like the point system. Like it's way better to put numbers on the board than to drop a project, because you can drop a project like you're like, oh, I want someone to be able to listen to it all the way through. You can do that after you drop the singles. You re-release it as an album, and it's just like marketing wise, it's just a better way to go, because like I've dropped projects where like songs where like the singles did great, but then the other songs don't even have 5,000 plays on it. And like, it's because of that. Like if we would have just dropped all those and then for the sake of dropping an album, re-released it later as a project, that's one thing. It's just way better on the numbers. So that's kind of what I learned, what I've been practicing, and it's worked out pretty good. And, I definitely recommend the same to other artists. But I know a lot of people get caught up in their artistic integrity and like, oh, I want to drop this as a project. You do, but it's like a 7-course meal, just going to bring everything out. You know what I'm saying? It's the whole point of like the rollout. You know what I mean? So it's relative in other things as well.
Now, on the music side of things, Dr. Dre, Timberland, and Just Blaze, how have those inspirations in music played a big part of your career?
Dr. Dre, I mean, his overall ability to make records, to make songs, and his sonic quality, and also the different melodic contributions he made to the game. And then Timberland just had this out there, quirky, out the box, his drum patterns, his sound choices. He might take a cricket and make it the hi-hat like he did on One in a Million for Aaliyah. I forgot what other Aaliyah record where he used like the baby crying, you know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of different things that like he opened people's thresholds to like what you can do sonically, as far as like Drake kind of did the sonic quality, and Timberland did like the sonic trailblazing as far as like what you can do. Incredible sound quality, like engineers like Jimmy Douglas were doing his shit, and then Just Blaze, especially early on, influenced my overall sound because it was just like a very in your face, like direct sound. And so that kind of resonated with me, like very direct and like in your face.
You are a music producer, also a hip hop artist as well. You dabbled in both. When was your realization, I'm going to go into a career as being a music producer?
It really just kind of all happened naturally. I was just like, a young kid in Brooklyn running around, probably on some knucklehead shit, getting in trouble. The recommendation to my parents from my brother, he was like, yo, just get him this equipment, go get him an MPC, and you'll never hear anything out of him again. And 20 years later, you know what I'm saying? I always had like a good business sense ever since I was like 7, 8 years old. Like I would like make cologne concoctions out of like cologne and aftershave, and like try to sell like bottles of cologne to my dad's friends that would come over. Just like I always had that hustler spirit. And also I would be on the corner with my friends selling cards and comics. And we would like make, just kids in the neighborhood, we would make some sales. And it was just like, I'm a hustler at the end of the day. Like I'm always figuring out a way to get it. So I was, selling beats very early on. Like as soon as I started making beats, I was selling them. It took about like 10 years really to be able to do it full-time professional, where I can like support myself. I have a son. And then, yeah, that's been going on for 10 years.
Knowing that you've been having a lot of success in the music production and also on the artist side of things in music, if your career wasn't in music production or being an artist, do you think you probably would have had a career in music?
I always say it's going to be funny. Like I have a couple different alternate paths that my life could have went down to if I focused on that. The first thing is a lawyer, which I don't necessarily know that I would have been in music, but like some sort of lawyer. I don't know which kind. Some sort of something with animals. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian, but like I don't know, like something with animals. You know what I mean? Something that like helps animals. Some sort of like civil rights activist. Obviously, music's one of those paths. That's the one I ended up taking. But and the last one, I don't know. But those 4 paths were all things that like strongly resonate with me.
Knowing that you've been having lots of success in the industry, what is something that you wish you would have known when you first started out?
I guess just really like normal shit, like how this business operates. A lot of people get misconceptions of what this thing is and like how it's ran and like how things work. But like knowing firsthand is something different. You're able to gauge what things mean and what's what during certain procedural things that other people might not have the proper reference for it, and in turn affects their actions negatively.
To be a 3-time Grammy nominated music producer, how does that feel for you?
It's great, man. Like, at the end of the day, we got to act like this shit never happened, and we got to like keep moving and stay focused. But I mean, it's definitely like a life. Like, I could retire today and feel like, I did my thing. You know what I'm saying? I reached certain heights that most people will never reach. Obviously, there's tons of mountaintops way past where I went. At the end of the day, like I feel like I did some cool things thus far, and like there's tons of, they're like this. I mean, this shit in reality isn't over. There's tons of cool shit, like, you know, that's on the forefront. But, you know, I definitely feel it's definitely like a fulfilling moment, and it's definitely like a cool notch under any musician's belt. But you just gotta like keep it moving and stay humble, act like it never happened, work towards the next one.
And what's been the key to your success?
Dedication and perseverance, and not getting really caught up in other stupid side shit that derails people's career. Like, you know, a lot of people get in trouble, go to jail. That derails a person's career. Sometimes, you know, having too many marital and responsibilities with kids, like, you know, that I know when I had my kid, like, I was very scared that it was going to derail my career, but it honestly it was like lit the biggest fire under my ass. Like, it was totally the opposite effect that it had on me. But, you know, I only had one. If I had like 3, 4, it might have been crazy. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about making the right choices, active player. And then, you know, once you're an eligible active player, you got to be playing.
And speaking of music, you've been a music artist as well as also a music producer. You've got songs such as No Regrets, Came Up, Bad Girl, Do the Right Thing, More Money, Less Friends. What drew you into being a music artist? And out of those songs, which one had to have been your favorite?
I'm not a music artist in the traditional sense. I'm a music artist in the sense of I'm a creator and I'm utilizing my own talent on my own projects, just like, you know, a DJ Khaled. I'm also like producing everything, mixing and mastering everything. I did it as a remarketing technique to put myself in a different category in order to, you know, just separate myself. We can sit here and get placements all day, but, you know, as producers, we don't own any of the music that we're working on. And I just kind of got sick of that and wanted to own something that I'm putting out into the world. The first project was, you know, some of the songs you listed from the joint project with ST Spittin', and then released 4 singles, which are off the Million Mile Journey EP.
And as a music producer, you've worked with a ton of artists. And let's talk about some of the top songs or the projects that you've worked on. No Pressure, Boog, and Snoop Dogg. All in a Day with Berner, Young Thug, YG, and Vital. Not Dead, Jacka featuring Rydah, Klyde. And out of those songs that you've worked on, which one had to have been your favorite and why?
Those particular records were all like great experiences. I don't really have any like particular favorites. There was dope elements to each situation. On the Day has like, you know, 20 million plays on YouTube and other streaming platforms. The No Pressure song by Boog was Grammy nominated, and Not Dead was off the posthumous Jacka album, which is, you know, definitely blessed to be a part of a legendary event like that. I think like Rolling Stone rated it like one of the top 10 posthumous rap albums of all time or something like that. Shout out to my boy Rob Lowe for making me a part of that. Shout out PK.
And as I mentioned earlier, you worked with a ton of artists, engineered for Post Malone through the Black Panther soundtrack.
Yeah, recorded SOB Paramedic.
With Khalifa, Young Dolph, Trina, Migos. Do you have any memorable experiences with any of those artists that you've worked with?
A lot of those artists, you know, happen through like email and different circumstances. Sometimes, you know, people are across the country and need tracks, and sometimes you just got to deliver. You know what I mean? Post Malone was definitely we were in the studio. That was a dope session. It was like one of those get out the studio at 8 a.m, and it was like I think the day after Bankroll Fresh got killed, and I was just crying. I'm like, yo, you guys were cool with Bankroll, and that kind of like I guess sparked the inspiration for doing that record.
Which record would that have to have been?
Money Made Me Do It, off the Stoney Deluxe project.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah.
Knowing that you've been successful, what are some ways that you continue to learn and elevate and stay on top of things in your career?
Figure out new ways to make money. Started a publishing administration company called Intellectual Property Collections. We go out and administer music on behalf of songwriters, collect their royalties, trying to figure out every revenue source possible to us as musicians. New things coming about every day. You know, the Music Modernization Act a pretty groundbreaking law, even though it has some negative aspects to it, passed like a year or two, and it just went into effect in January. You know, a lot of different things are changing, good and bad. You know, it's just all about being at the forefront and figuring out where the money comes from, and then just exercising that knowledge.
You've been doing a lot in the industry. What are you presently working on right now, and what are some of the future projects that we should be looking out for?
Dropping a couple more singles from this project, and then kind of plotting on the low on like kind of a theme I want to do for this next EP. Just trying to figure out what the next move is. Just continuing to sign and help my existing clients, working on beats, and I got some other top secret.
And in your career, who are you mostly thankful for?
My dad, but really both my parents for just like supportive, letting me know that all of this stuff was even possible. My uncle, who's a very successful producer. You know, my older brother also for showing me a lot of stuff early on how to make beats. My son also from just motivating me.
When people look back on your career, what would you like your legacy to be?
Did things the right way. I did things at a top business level without sacrificing my ethics. You know, just people respect where I'm coming from. I don't expect everyone to like me, but I come from a good place. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm not scared to speak up. So you're gonna respect that. And some people that's a little difficult for, but you know, in the end, I'm confident that they're going to see my ways because like I said, it comes from a good place and it is accurate. I just want to keep doing good.
We're here with Grammy nominated music producer Max Perry, who has been just doing great things from New York, now living in California, just continuing to thrive. And it's definitely got a lot of great projects on the way. Just want to say I appreciate your time and wishing you all the best, brother.
Yes, sir, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.